AITA for not punishing my son. For hitting girls who were attacking him? My son is 14 years old and in the 8th grade. He's a great kid and super well behaved. He gets good grades, does his chores, and is involved in several extracurricular activities in his school. Well, yesterday my wife and I got a call from his school that he was suspended for getting into a fight and that one of us needed to come get him. So I went to grab him as I was more easily able to leave work for the day, and when I got there, the principal showed me the footage of what had happened. So 3 girls had been throwing food at one of the boys at the table my son and his friends were sitting in at lunch. My son, after a few minutes of this happening, turned around and started to yell at the girls to get them to stop. The girls kept doing it until my son threw an empty milk carton at them and got some milk to splash on them. This made the girls come up to the table and get into a screaming match with my son, until one of the girls started slapping on my son. He then pushed her somewhat hard, and she fell backwards. This made the other girls start hitting him, and after a couple moments, my son started punching the girls. It took about 15 seconds of commotion before the fight was broken up by the vice principal, and they were separated. I think the vice principal should have noticed the food throwing and screaming before it even got to that point. But it's neither here nor there. My son had several large scratches on his face, and I was informed he had busted one of the girls' lips. I was told my son would be suspended for the next school week, and so I took him to McDonald's and then home. I told him he wasn't in trouble as he was not the one to start the altercation, but he really needs to be mindful of stuff like this, as it can show up on his school record. He understood and said he was just so angry, as these girls had been picking on the boy sitting with them for all of middle school, and he'd had enough. When my wife got home, I explained to her the situation, and she was livid that my son was in his room playing video games and not being punished. I told her, I'm not going to punish my son for sticking up for a child being bullied and for defending himself when attacked. Her response was that he shouldn't lay his hands on girls no matter what, and he should have just ran away. She went in his room and yelled at him and went to take his PlayStation away. When I stepped in to stop her, I told her she needs to calm down and we need to talk this through before she makes unilateral punishment decisions. She is insistent that he be punished for the whole week he is suspended, and I disagree and think the suspension is punishment enough, as when he gets back to school, he is going to have a massive amount of school work to catch up on. He has never gotten so much as a detention in his life and is a good kid. I'm not going to punish him for an incident that was a one-off that he didn't even initiate. She's mad at me for letting him off the hook on this one and said, I'm raising him to be a woman beater, which is just flat out ridiculous. I asked her if she'd still want to punish him if there were 3 boys ganging up on him, and she said yes, but not as harshly as he should be for fighting back with the girls. I refuse to let him be punished and have even stated to her that this is why our son trusts me more and comes to me with his problems. Because even though he's well behaved, she wants to jump down his throat for every little mishap he makes.